Welcome back here to the Willem-Alexander-Ruijbaan, north of Rotterdam, just a few kilometers from the city center. We are back this afternoon with the men's H4 and H5 road races in paracycling. You could see the start list there, and we have the riders lining at the start line already. Before the race gets underway, let's start with an explainer of paracycling. Here you go.
Paracycling explained. Paracycling, an adapted form of cycling, accommodates various disabilities. Athletes compete in individual time trials, team relays, or road races, and are categorized into 13 classes. Male or female athletes with various impairments, or balance impairments, handbike riders, or visually impaired tandem riders with a non-impaired partner. Despite different classes racing together, results are adjusted based on mobility level, ensuring fairness and excitement. Adjustments include unique rules and staggered start times for the time trials. Discover more on epc2023.com.
We will have the H5 and H4 races starting in just a minute. Here we have Mathieu Bosredon from France, one of the favorites in the H4 race. So the H4 riders lined up at the start list. Thomas Ruviert, European champion in the time trial. Looks like he's very much enjoying this Sunday afternoon. Looking very relaxed before the start. 13 riders starting in the H4 category and 9 riders in the H5. We are starting with the H4, Ruviert here lined up. In the first position as the time trial European champion, next to him 2 Frenchmen, Mathieu Bosredon and Joseph Fritsch. Fritsch, part of the handbike team relay squad that won the gold medal for France on Thursday evening in the city center in the Streepvaartquartier on a short, exciting course. And now they are waiting for the start whistle to start the road race. The whistle's off. Here we go. Ruviert best out of the start. Joseph Fritsch on the right side of the road into the lead. Bosredon falling back a little bit. Fritsch going all in from the start here, pulling out a gap already. And behind Joseph Fritsch, the rest of the race more or less together. Frenchman with a gap through the first laps. Sorry, through the first turns. And in the H5 race, world champion, home favorite, Mitch Verliese. Lined up in the middle of the first row. Next to him, Francis Loic Vergniaud. And here's Tim de Vries, another Dutch rider. Loic Vigneault, and there in the background in the Portuguese jersey with the number 284, that is Luís Costa from Portugal.
Get the score 30 seconds.
Within 30 seconds to the start, the last adjustments being made there by the world champion, and we're waiting for the whistle to see them off. Here's the whistle. Everybody getting underway. Wheels up to speed, but unlike the H4 race, nobody pulling away just yet. Here's the start list for the H5 road race. 3 Dutch riders. They have to be the home favorites. Valise, European champion, world champion in the road race and the time trial. Tim de Vries, 3rd in the European Championship on the time trial, 2nd in the World Championships, both road race and time trial. So Valise and de Vries have to be among the favorites for the win today. The field staying together here over the first bridge, and one of the Italian riders taking the lead. The 2 Italians now in the first positions, and one of them is pulling away a little bit with his teammate letting the gap open as the race gets onto the back straight. It's onto the Dutch riders to react now, and one of them has taken up the chase, is closing the gap to the Italian, Mitch Valise, the world champion. 3rd last in this field of 9 riders. In the H4 race, 6 riders here together at the southern end of the circuit. We have in the back Martin Bercesi Mansione from Spain, ahead of him Tobias Lötscher from Switzerland, and here what looks like the leaders, 2 riders from France. And now Poland's Rafał Wilk leading the first group of 5 riders onto the home straight. This group of 6 has been dropped by the first 5 riders. Here we have the lead group, 2 riders from Poland, 2 from France and 2 from Austria. So 6 riders in this lead group, the 2 Frenchmen, Joseph Fritsch and Mathieu Bosredon, 2 Austrians, Thomas Frühwirt and Alexander Gritsch, and finally from Switzerland, 2 of the 3 Swiss riders. There's another rider there coming up from Spain, making the bridge to the front group. And an attack from the French. One of the French riders making an acceleration here on the home straight. His teammate obviously not chasing him down, leaving it to the others, and one of the Polish riders has had to lose contact with the group. Not opening up much more, getting close to the finish now. They have almost finished the first lap of their 12-lap race, and will get the composition of the group and the time gaps as they cross the finish line. Applause from the public spectators here. And it's Mathieu Bosredon from France, 2 seconds ahead of Rübel and Rich from Austria. Rich from France and Will from Poland. We get the next group, the group of drop riders, through the finish. More cheers from the crowd. Also on the home straight, here's Tiziano Monti from Italy looking back on his right rear wheel. In front of him, a group of 7 riders. Together, Luis Costa there from Portugal. To the right of him, Mitch Valise from the Netherlands, the world champion. Krzysztof Plewa from Poland. Jano Lepik there in the Estonian jersey. And further up the front, Tim de Vries and Johan Rekers from the Netherlands, as well as Loic Vergniaud from France. Looking further ahead, we can see Diego Colombari there in the blue jersey of the Italian national team. Has already made a gap on the others. The Polish rider, Krzysztof Plewa, now going to the front. Looks like mechanical there for Tim de Vries. He seems to have solved the problem, but Tim de Vries has had to let the group go there. Valise took a look at him, but he couldn't help his teammate. And now Valise is still at the back of the group with quite a gap up to Colombari. Further up now at the 500-meter sign, Valise even loses a bit of ground on the rest of the group, pushed forward there by the Pole Krzysztof Plewa. More gaps appearing here in the H5 road race, as the race is definitely on. Diego Colombari has attacked, is about to finish the first lap. Behind him a group of 4 riders still chasing together. Christophe Clever, Loic Vergniaud, the which Valdez has made his way back. And now 5 riders chasing Colombari, just 8 seconds down. Also up there still Johan Regel. From the Netherlands and Luis Costa from Portugal. Jan Olepik from Estonia, already a few seconds down on this chase group. Waliza made it back just in time. 5 riders now in the chase behind Colombari. Only a few seconds, but we have seen and we know in these handbike races it is often at the beginning that the gaps are made. And Colombari looking across to the left there to see where his chasers are, making his way around the corners on the northern end of the Willem-Alexander growing lanes. You can see though Clever here pushing the group through the corners, and slowly the gap is getting smaller and smaller. Valdez at the back looking behind for Tim de Vries, his teammate, hoping that de Vries can catch up, while Colombari is pushing on 100%, trying to keep his gap. And Clever's chase has borne fruit. He gets up to Colombari, looks behind the Italian as they cross the bridge, and the race is back together. Now 6 riders in the front of the men's H5 road race. And here is Tim de Vries back after his mechanical, back in the front group. The 3 Dutch riders now all together, looking around for each other. They will no doubt have some tactics planned now. 3 Dutch riders in this group of 7, and they have the strength of numbers. Colombari, Costa, Clever and Vergniaud all on the without any compatriots. Clever still leading the group. Colombari was caught, now in 2nd position. Vergniaud 3rd, and Mitch Valdez now on the right side, making his way up the group towards the front. The other 2 Dutch riders staying at the back. We'll see if this is a special tactic, maybe an acceleration from Valdez and letting the other 2 Dutch sit on when he does so. Meanwhile, here we are in the group of 5 that have been dropped by the front group. Various maneuvering there by the riders as they get closer to the finish line. They still have, they're still on the first lap, so they still have 11 laps to go. The lead of the race is already almost halfway through the 2nd lap, but these riders still have 11 laps to go. through the finish here, led by one of the Polish riders. In the back, two Frenchmen. Now this is in the H4 race, the leading group of 5, Raphael Wilk, then the two Austrians, Frühwirt and Gritsch, the French, Joseph Fritsch and Mathieu Bosredon, all still together. They are now on the 3rd lap, so just under 10 laps to go for them.
Dat zijn de rijkoppelingen met de H4s. Dat zijn allemaal met een aanzienlijke voorbehoud voor de rest van het tijd.
Another Polish rider coming through the finish here with 10 laps to go. Jakub Staszkiewicz was part of this lead group for a while, but then dropped by the other 5. Now in position, and here is the rest of the field. Five riders together. Becher from Switzerland, Bertese Manzione from Spain, Sochai from Poland, and Lötscher from Switzerland, plus the Austrian at the end here. Now we are back with the lead group. On the back straight, one of the Austrians at the front. That is Alexander Gritsch pulling off there now, and Thomas Frühwirt sitting at the back. Joseph Fritsch now taking his turn. Gritsch dropping down in the group, but Bosredon pulling to the left of the road as Raphael Wilk doesn't seem to want to. Now they have forced Raphael Wilk, the Polish rider, into the wind. Keep in mind, the wind is blowing on this from the right side of the road. Even though they are very low down, it's still, if you are really on this elevated roadway and left out there by the 4 companions you have, you still are going to feel a little bit of the wind. In the men's H5 race, looks like Diego Colombari has attacked again. Another solo effort by the Italian. Looking behind him, there we can see the chasers. Again, Colombari has opened up a gap on the home straight. You can see the skyline of Rotterdam in the background. And now Mitch Valise, the world champion from the Netherlands himself, leading the chase behind. Colombari getting closer and closer to the finish line here after 2 laps. Now about about to cross the finish line, and we will get a time gap back to the chasers led by Mitch Verlies, the world champion from the Netherlands. 14 seconds down to this group of 6 riders, with 3 Dutch riders and 1 each from France, Portugal and Poland. The Dutch riders, Mitch Verlies, the world champion, in the lead, and Tim de Vries and Johan Rekers at the back of the group at the moment. Loic Vergniaud from France, Krzysztof Plewa from Poland and Luis Costa from Portugal. Mitch Verlies now leading the chase here behind Colombari. They were 14 seconds behind when they crossed the finish line after 2 laps. With 10 laps to go, just under 10 laps to go, Colombari has made another attack. This time it is a bigger gap that he has managed to open up, and we will see if the chasers will manage to get back on. Colombari onto the back straight now, picking up speed again, and his chasers over the bridge, also onto the back straight. They have managed to close a little bit of the gap, about 12 seconds now, as they are onto the back straight. The 2 Dutch riders, de Vries and Rekers, at the back of the group. Mitch Verlies doing all the work at the front now, trying to chase down Colombari. In the H4 category, we have these 5 riders still together. Now about to finish the 3rd lap, so 1/4 of the race, 1/4 of the race done for the H4 category. Still riding together, these 5 riders, 2 from Austria and France, 1 from Poland. Bosredon from France leading Fruet, Fritsch, Wilk and Kritsch across the line. The next group already further down the road. 1 Polish rider in the middle there, Staszkiewicz. He may have been caught already by the group. Here a replay, a very wobbly rear wheel for Mathieu Bosredon. I don't think that is a good sign. Let's hope. Yeah, he's looking around there now. Looking around. And I think this means Mathieu Bosredon is probably not going to be able to keep up with the rest of the group, because that is serious safety risk, that wobbly rear wheel. The others giving him a lot of room here, the Austrian rider. Looks to be dropped, and Bosredon also still trying to keep up. Is still just keeping up. But at the end of the group now, over the bridge, Bosredon has to let a gap to the rest. Looking around. Checking his rear wheel again there, the right rear wheel. Still wobbling very much. Trying to make his way back to the other 3 riders in front. H5 road race. We have the 6 chasers here, still led by Mitch Valide, the world champion. Colombari just ahead of them. We're on the southern end of the circuit, and here we can see the camera motorbike and Colombari now in the bottom of the shot, while the 6 chasers are just about to cross the bridge. Colombari already on the home straight. We will get the next time gap as they cross the finish, giving us an indication of just how big the gap is, if Colombari has been able to take more seconds out of this group, or if Valide's efforts to chase him down have been successful. Colombari pedaling very hard here. You can see the effort. His body, his upper body rocking back and forth with each pedal stroke. And Valide is still leading the group behind his 2 Dutch compatriots at the back of the group, and Valide making the chase effort. Camera motorbike behind Colombari, getting encouragement there from another Italian. Has the finish line in sight, but he is mostly looking down on his front wheel. Valide looking around a little bit, but still keeping the pedals going at a regular pace. And there we can see one of the Dutch riders had to leave a little gap at the end, comes back on now. We'll get the next time gaps very soon. Colombari now almost at the barriers around the finish line, coming into view of the fixed camera, and the Italian is making his way across the finish after 3 laps. Here's the chase group with Mitch Valide in front, followed by the Frenchman Loic Vergniaud. Nobody takes the... One of the riders tries to take a bottle. Did he manage to get it? I think he did. And the time gap now 23 seconds. 23 seconds up to Diego Colombari from Italy, with 9 laps to go in the men's H5 road race.
De druk bij de Nederlanders zit erop. Op eigen gebied willen we toch.
And Bosredon's rear wheel, right rear wheel wobbling even more by now. He's still just keeping up with the group in front of him. The Austrian, they're shaking his head a little bit with the effort. That is Alexander Gritsch, who lost contact. So up front we have one rider from Austria, Thomas Frühwirt. We have Josef Fritsch from France, and we have Rafał Wilk from Poland. Behind them, Mathieu Bosredon. With the wobbling right rear wheel, keeping just a small gap, but for now keeping up. We'll see how long he tries to keep going with this rear wheel. Of course, if they decide to fix the mechanic, he will lose a lot of valuable time. Looking around there now, see what happens after the finish as Frühwirt, Wilk and Fritsch go through the finish. Bosredon only 3 seconds down, and he pulls over to the side. French changing his right wheel. Fritsch goes past there, 9 seconds down through the finish. And the pit stop is done. New rear wheel for Mathieu Bosredon. Has to get back up to speed now. He has a long chase ahead of him to make it back to the group, but don't forget, he is one of the best road racers in the H4 category we have. He may well get back to this group. I imagine Josef Fritsch will not do much to help Frühwirt and Wilk stay away. Josef Fritsch here in second position, over the bridge. Frühwirt at the front, turning the pedals very quickly, trying to keep up the gap to Bosredon. In the H5 road race, still Mitch Valise leading the chase. Diego Colombari up ahead, and Mitch Valise at the front of this group of 6 riders. Tiziano Monti in 8th position, already 3 minutes and 19 seconds down. The mechanical and the wheel change did cost Bosredon almost 30 seconds. On the other hand, he now is back on a reliable bike, and he is working hard on the back straight to make up these 30 seconds to the lead group. And here we can see the 2 Dutch riders, De Vries and Rekers, having to leave a little gap to the other riders out of this corner. Into the next corner, Mitch Valise pedaling all the way through. He knows he needs every pedal stroke he can get on this course to close the gap to Colombari. Valise now sitting up, taking a sip from his bottle before turning over the bridge onto the home straight back to the finish. And he should now have Colombari inside. We get a overview shot here. The 6 chasers, the 2 Dutchmen at the back, getting back into the wheel of Luis Costa from Portugal, but no sign of Colombari in this shot. The Italian must have increased his gap a little bit more on the way to the finish. Here's Colombari, followed by the camera motorbike. And as we pan out now, we can see the group of 6, still Mitch Waliser doing the work in the chase. All laps almost finished of the men's H5 road race. We have Mitch Waliser leading this group of 6 riders, chasing behind Diego Colombari from Italy, who attacked already on the 2nd lap. He had made a first attack on the 1st lap, but was caught very soon. Now Colombari has attacked again, and he is out there for more than 2 laps already. His lead was 23 seconds when they crossed the finish line after 3 laps. Colombari now within 500 meters from the finish. The chase group around 700 meters to go to the finish. And we'll get the next time gaps when they cross the finish arch here at the Willem-Alexander Roeibaan north of Rotterdam. The skyline of Rotterdam there in the background.
Daar moet op de nummers bijpakken, Jannes, als we inderdaad die Colombari weer zien naderen. Gaan we kijken wat de actuele stand van zaken is.
Colombari across the finish, starting the clock for the time gap.
15 seconden, dan gaan we kijken of het op dit moment steeds dat het geval is.
And still Waliser leading the group. Now within the barriers, across the finish line, and the gap is still 23-24 seconds. So Colombari has not been able to make up any ground on this last lap, meaning Waliser and Colombari are evenly matched at the moment. Mitch Waliser, the world champion, of course, may have the stronger arms in the end in this handbike race, but for now Colombari is at least keeping his gap, although with 8 laps to go, it is a long way to the finish for the Italian. In the H4 race, now also coming up on the finish after 5 laps. We have Rafael Wilk losing contact with the 2 leaders, with Joseph Fritsch and Thomas Fruwiert crossing the finish line here. And Rafael Wilk across the finish 4 seconds down, with Mathieu Bosredon, who had a mechanical, had to change his rear wheel, 14 seconds down on the leaders, with Alexander Kritsch from Austria on his wheel. Here's Rafael Will currently in 3rd position, going across the first bridge at the north end of the circuit. Keeps the 2 leaders in sight and probably knows that Mathieu Bosredon will be coming up from on his way to the front in his chase. Maybe Will hoping to just rest a little bit, wait for Bosredon to come up and then get in his slipstream and get back up to the lead group. Through the corner onto the bridge, some spectators here at the turn. Frühwirt now leading Josef Fritsch onto the back straight. Wilk also across the bridge. And so are Bosredon and Kritsch. As these 5 leaders are all on the back straight, the gap between Frühwirt and Fritsch at the front and the Pole Raphael Wilk is only 6 seconds. Bosredon and Kritsch are 11 seconds down, so it looks like this race is coming back together a little bit. Wide angle shot of all 5 contenders for the medals, and we are with the camera motorbike now. High rises of Rotterdam in the background. Alexander Kritsch seeing the pole ahead and going further to the right in order to overtake Raphael Wilk. Bosredon looking to the left there, seeing if the pole will sit on their wheels. It looks like he does. And now Mathieu Bosredon leading this chase group of 3, and Josef Fritsch in the lead group of 2 riders sitting behind Thomas Frühwirt. In the men's H5 race, Diego Colombari still on his own, just the jury motorbike to accompany him. The Italian is pedaling hard, his body rocking back and forth through the corner there, and the chase group with the 2 Dutchmen at the back, and Mitch Valise setting the pace, trying to keep Colombari from getting away and eventually reeling him back in. Bosredon's chase is looking good. They are almost back to the 2 leaders. Josef Fritsch, of course, not working to keep the gap up. Thomas Frühwirt has to do it all by himself. And now it looks as if we will have 5 leaders again very soon. Frühwirt tries to keep the gap for just a little while longer. Bosredon working hard to close the gap. Raphael Wilk in his wheel, and the other Austrian, Alexander Kritsch, has had to leave a little gap again, already having been dropped by Fritsch and Frühwirt earlier on this lap. This chase is not over just yet. Now onto the back straight, chasing up the birds who fly away protesting loudly. Bosredon just isn't quite at the rear wheel of his compatriot Josef Fritsch. He is now, but the loser in this chase is Alexander Kritsch, who had been dropped from the front duo already, and now Bosredon going to the front. Fritsch in his wheel, showing the Austrian Thomas Frühwirt, I am back, and your compatriot Alexander Kritsch, he is not back. Four leaders now in the men's H4 race. Mathieu Bosredon overcame his mechanical with the wobbly right rear wheel, got a wheel change, chased back on, and Thomas Ruviert coming back to the front now, unsuccessfully tried to keep Bosredon from coming back. Joseph Fritsch from France didn't work with the Austrian, and in the back there, Rafał Wilk made his way back up with Bosredon, but now at the back of the group, and sometimes leaving just a little bit of a gap. In the men's H5 race, it looks as if the gap has been almost closed, certainly close to less than 23 seconds here. Still Mitch Valise, the world champion from the Netherlands, at the front of the chase group. Colombari now only 70, 80, 100 meters ahead. And looking at their body language, Colombari looking back there now. Mitch Valise still looks very much more controlled than the Italian, tilting his head a little bit now, moving over to the side and only a few seconds behind. Mitch Valise leading the race, over 3 seconds behind halfway through the race. Sorry, after 5 laps of 12, so 5 laps, this group of 6 riders is almost back on the wheel of Diego Colombari from Italy. And as we're crossing the bridge here, Valise is sitting up, and they are practically back with Colombari. They are now. Valise moving to the side. He has done his work. Blowing his nose. Colombari using the opportunity to get something from his pockets, and behind now riders looking at each other. Who is going to? Okay, they're letting a motorbike past, and they are also getting passed by the H4 race, going past at speed. The 4 leaders in the H4 race already on the 7th lap. Here, Mathieu Bosredon at the front of the men's H4 race in this group of 4. And Colombari has attacked again, going on to the back straight. After having been caught, he is now off with another attack, chasing behind these 4 H4 riders. Not in the same race, obviously, but he's using them as a target to chase for. And Mitch Valise again back in the position, chasing after Colombari at the front of this chase group of 6. There's Colombari in the shot at the front, and on the right side we can see Valise working in the chase again. They caught Colombari. It looked like the situation was under control, but then Colombari across the bridge and onto the back straight made a break for it, and is now again quite a distance ahead of these 6 chasers. Four leaders in the men's H4 race on the 7th lap of 12. 2 Frenchmen in this group. Joseph Fritsch with the 2:55. And Mathieu Bosredon with the 2:54. And here's Colombari. They just let the H4 race pass. Now Colombari is on his way again, passing the H4 race as the leader in the H5 road race. And behind we see the chase group, again led by Mitch Valise, the world champion in the rainbow jersey. Colombari looking to the left. Will you let me go past or not? It doesn't look like they will. He's falling back again as one of the French riders has put in an acceleration in the H4 race. Wilk now again at the back of the group. From Poland and Thomas Fruwiert from Austria leading the group with the two Frenchmen behind him. Wilk has to leave a little gap there. Maybe he can make up the gap again through these corners, but he has to be very careful onto the home straight. The others will accelerate again, and it will take an effort from him to keep up again. Through the corners, Wilk has made it back, but now as they go out of the corner, the gap opens up again. It looks like the pole, he is also pedaling very fast there. Maybe he has a problem with his gearing. He's pedaling very much faster than the other riders ahead of him. Through the turn, Wilk has caught up again, but as they come down from the bridge and onto the home straight, again a gap has opened up for the Polish rider. Colombari in the H5 race, now also on the home straight, and here we can see the chasers from the H5 race led by Mitch Valise. In between there is one rider from the H4 race, that's Alexander Kritsch, currently in 5th position. Mitch Valise leading this chase group of 6 as he has been doing almost since the start of the race. Luis Costa from Portugal now in the second to last position in this group, and it looks like he and one of the other two Dutch riders have to leave a gap up to the chasers led by Mitch Valise. Luis Costa trying to get back onto the wheels there, manages to almost close the gap now. And the chasing 6 are all back together. We will get, that is Alexander Kritsch there from Austria from the H4 category, and Colombari in the blue jersey from Italy at the very left of the screen, the leader in the H5 category. We will get them through the finish soon, and we'll get another time gap from the H4 race and also the H5 race, where Colombari has been the rider setting the attacks. This is his third attempt already. He has been caught twice and he just attacked again. Meanwhile, the H4 riders getting close to the finish, almost done 7 laps. Thomas Fruviert at the front there, followed by the 2 Frenchmen, Bosredon and Fritsch, with Rafał Wilk fourth from Poland across the line. 5 laps to go for the men's H4 road race. 4 riders still together at the same time. Alexander Klitsch from Austria a bit further down on this home straight, but it looks like he's out of contention for the medals. New bottle for Walise. No bottles for his 2 Dutch teammates. Colombari across the line, halfway through the race, 6 laps done, 6 laps to go. And we have a time gap of only 6 seconds for the Italian, only 6 seconds. Colombari making it through the corners at the northern end of the circuit, across the first bridge here on this 7th lap. It looks maybe like he is sitting up a bit again. And yeah, it looks like the gap is getting smaller. Front runners in the H4 race. All 4 riders together. Still Thomas Fruviert from Austria setting the pace at the front. And this is Daniel Kuglia from Slovakia. He has been lapped in the men's H4 road race. Now Joseph Fritsch from France going to the front, setting the pace. His teammate Bosredon at the back. Thomas Fruviert sandwiched by the 2 Frenchmen. Bosredon putting his tube in his mouth to get some liquid in, and Rafał Wilk there with the 2:59 from Poland, also still in the group. All 4 riders still together here on the 8th lap, 2/3 of the race almost done. Fruviert also drinking a little bit, and Fritsch moving to the side, letting Fruviert come past and take the lead again. Mitch Walise's work has paid off once again. Diego Colombari caught on the back straight here as we are in the second half of the H5 road race. And now Walise hasn't made the same mistake. He is staying at the front, keeping the pace up to try and discourage any attacks. Now Loic Vergniaud from France coming to the front. Then Colombari slowly. Now Colombari is sitting up again before starting to turn the pedals. And we are in the H4 road race. Still these 4 riders together, 2 from France, 1 from Austria, 1 from Poland. Thomas the Austrian leading the race, leading the group, followed by Joseph Fritsch, the 2:55, and Mathieu Bosredon, the 2:54. Rafał Wilk in 4th position from Poland. Josef Fritsch pulling ahead into this corner at the end of the back straight. But no real attacks here, just wanting to get the best lie through the corner. As I say that, of course, the group is pulling apart a little bit here, gaps opening up. Fritsch, Fruviert and Bosredon back together here as they cross the bridge. However, Rafał Wilk with a small gap, working hard now to close this gap as they are back on the home straight, coming closer to the finish. Front group of 4 about to lap a rider from their own category. This must be Paweł from Poland, and indeed it is 2:57 from Poland. Paweł Sochaj, lapped by the 4 leaders in the men's H4 road race, now almost at the kilometer mark with just over 1/3 of the race. 4 laps and 1 kilometer left to go for the H4 road race leaders. And here we have a replay of Mathieu Bosredon pointing to his rear wheel and getting the rear wheel changed by a team mechanic. Cost him 30 seconds and a chase back, but he is now very much back in the race. Back in the race, the H4 race, we have Bosredon, who we just saw with the rear wheel mechanical leading the race in the group of 4. And passing here Tiziano Monti from the H5 race. Bosredon leading them across the line. 4 laps to go. Wilk now with a small gap there, 2 seconds behind. Will have to try to get back on through the corners here and onto the back straight. Alexander Gritsch from Austria, 45 seconds down in 5th position. Just crossed the finish line. 4 laps to go for him, but it looks like his 5th place is all he can. Today, Rafał Wilk here, pedaling very intensely, trying to close this gap to the front runners, the 3 front runners, Thomas Fruviert from Austria and the 2 Frenchmen, Bosredon and Fritsch. the H5 road race, we have a front group of 7 now. I gel for one of the Dutch riders, Mitch Valise, leading this group. No Italian to chase at the moment. Some of the riders looking behind as they cross the finish line. All together 7 riders in the lead with 5 laps to go in the H5 road race. Over the bridge here, and around the outside of the rowing lanes. Still Mitch Valise in the front, followed by Loic Vergniaud, the Frenchman. Has been in his wheel for most of the race, really. In third position, Diego Colombari, who has been out in front ahead of Valise, also for most of the race. 3 attacks already from the Italian. So far, Valise has been able to close him down every time. We'll see if the Italian will attack again. To the back straight, and there's a gap opening up just a little bit. Now Colombari is closing it, and another of the Dutch riders coming to the front here, making a move from the Netherlands to 80. Tim de Vries, Loic Vergniaud on his wheel immediately. Diego Colombari has to leave a gap. Loic Vergniaud keeps on the attack on the back straight with Tim de Vries. And we have Colombari chasing hard to close this gap. Now Christoph Plever has taken over, Johan Rekers in his wheel, Colombari behind that, Luis Costa, and finally Mitch Valise. In the H4 race, the 2 Frenchmen, Bosredon and Fritsch, and Thomas Fruwiert from Austria still together. Rafał Wilk from Poland hasn't lost them out of sight, but his gap is slowly but steadily growing bigger and bigger. Into the home straight. Fruwiert still in the middle between the 2 French riders. At the back, Joseph Fritsch, Mathieu Bosredon at the moment setting the pace. Now Fritsch moving up beside the Austrian. Bosredon taking a sip from his water bottle, and Fritsch takes over the pace setting, with Fruwiert in Fritsch's wheel and Bosredon moving to the back. In the H5 race, the attack has been neutralized. 7 riders together again. At the front, Loic Vergniaud, who carried on the attack after Tim de Vries. In second position now, Colombari. In third, Mitchell in fourth. And they go across this bridge at the southern end of the Willem Alexander rowing lanes. Loic Vergniaud, de Vries, Colombari opening. Valise still in control, just having a little gap open up there. Everything comes back together. Just out of shot there, one of the H4 riders, one of the dropped riders. And here we are with the leaders in the H4 race. The two Frenchmen, Fritsch and Bosredon, and Thomas Rivière from Austria. 3 laps to go for them, 3 laps to go for these 3 riders. At the moment in the medal positions, here is Rafał Wilk from Poland. He has had to let a gap open, and he is losing more and more time on 3 leaders. In 5th position, we just saw him just ahead of the leaders in the H5 race, Alexander Klitsch, also from Austria. Wilk now across the line, 29 seconds down. It looks like the medals are rolling away from him. He has lost contact with this lead group. 3 riders now still fighting for the gold medal and the European Champions jersey. We could hear a Frenchman shouting there, one of the French staff members shouting 30 seconds, 30 seconds to this lead group to let them know Wilk is now almost 30 seconds behind. Fruweert putting the tube into his mouth to drink. So was Joseph Fritsch Bosredon here at the back. Very much the calm before the storm now. Under 3 laps to go for the H4 riders. And in the H5 race, on the back straight, moving up now, still led by Loic Vergniaud, Mitch Valise coming to the front there. And here a replay of the attack by Tim de Vries, immediately countered by Loic Vergniaud. And as we can see now, here the group is back together. Vergniaud leading the group through the finish, looking around time and time again for the Dutch riders. 4 laps to go for the H5 road race leaders. 7 riders still together. Vergniaud leading the group through the corner here. At the back, Mitch Valise again. His favorite position at the back of the group, being able to see everything that's happening in front of him, safe in the knowledge if somebody does make a move, he can use his power to close the gap if he needs to. Nobody wants to take the lead from Vergniaud at the moment. Everybody happy to let the Frenchman lead the group. Colombari resting his arms a little bit there before the corner. Across the bridge. A little gap opening up. The Italian goes on the right side while Vergniaud and De Vries are on the left side, but now Colombari slotting back in again in the line. Valise at the back, Luis Costa from Portugal ahead of him. The world champion still very much in control. Into this last fourth of the race, here is Tiziano Monti, also from the H5 category. 8th position on the road at the moment and about to be lapped by the 7 leaders. Vergniaud leading the front group past Tiziano Monti from Italy. Tiziano Monti now also lapped, so just the 7 leaders on the lead lap in the men's H5 race. In the H4 race, just a little bit over 2 laps to go. Still the 2 Frenchmen, Bosredon and Fritsch, and Frühwirt, Thomas Frühwirt from Austria together. Interesting to see the differences here. Frühwirt and to some degree Bosredon have their legs almost straight out in front of them, while Joseph Fritsch has his legs a little bit bent at the knee and at the hip. So he must have chosen this position, not quite as aerodynamic, but because he can put out more power with his arms and with his hands into the pedals in this position rather than the more aerodynamic one. Bosredon looking over at the motorbike camera, in the lead now. Looks very much comfortable now that he's made his way back after the mechanical. Frühwirt in 2nd position and Fritsch making up the rear. A wide shot of the finish area, and here we have the H4 leaders coming into view. Just over 2 laps to go. Still all 3 riders riding together. They may well do this all the way to the finish and decide the race at the end with a long sprint up the home straight. Thomas Frühwirt now coming through the finish in 1st position, followed by the 2 Frenchmen. 2 laps to go for the H4 road race. Through the corners here, Fruviert leading the group. The Austrian is in a difficult position. Here, Rafael Wilk in 4th place, crossing the finish line, now 49 seconds behind. He's lost another 20 seconds on this 10th lap. Definitely out of contention for the medals. Thomas Fruviert, as I said, in a difficult position with 2 Frenchmen with him. Almost whatever he does, if he tries to attack, surely one of the Frenchmen will chase him down immediately. On the other hand, if one of the Frenchmen attacks, makes an acceleration, it will be down to Fruviert himself to close the gap, and when he does that, he can be almost certain that the other Frenchman, having sat in his wheel until then, will launch a counter-attack. Not a position anybody would want to be in here, being outnumbered in a group of 3 in the final of this race. But for now, all 3 riders are still working together and getting closer and closer to the finish. In the H5 race, we can now see Mitch Valise not only at the back of the group, but even with a gap to the other 6. But looks like he is able to close that easily here as he comes back to the wheel of Luis Costa at the front. Krzysztof Plewa from Poland having taken the lead. Loic Vergniaud, who had been setting the pace, now in the 5th position. Diego Colombari in 2nd, and in the middle the 2 Dutchmen, Tim de Vries and Johan Rekers. Valise here, again letting a bit of a gap to Costa. Maybe a bit of a gamble. Let's hope for him this gamble pays off, because if somebody accelerates at the front, Valise will have to spend some extra energy to close the gap. Plewa and Colombieri leading the group through. Valise at the end of these 7 riders. 3 laps still to go for the H5 men in their road race. Here through the corners, now passing one of the dropped riders in the H4 race. Again, Valise with a bit of a gap. closing the gap just into the corner, and now not letting a new gap open on the straight. In the front, Krzysztof Plewa from Poland, followed by Diego Colombari. Plewa now setting the pace after Loic Vergniaud, now in 4th position, has been doing the work for the last 2 laps or so. Through the corner, across the bridge. Again, a slight gap there for Walize to close as they come onto the back straight, but not really much bigger than the gaps in the group, just because of the cornering. Walize here in the shot, still in control, makes it back to the rear wheel of Luis Costa with no problems. On the penultimate lap, the Austrian Thomas Frühwirt and the 2 Frenchmen, Mathieu Bosredon and Joseph Fritsch. Now Frühwirt in the lead, followed by the 2 Frenchmen. There a little bump onto the, well, onto the number more than the barrier. Frenchman putting his tube in his mouth to get some liquid in. Bosredon at the back will be happy to still be in this race, back with a chance to win the gold medal and the European Championship after his mechanical. Frühwirt leading the group, and they are about to cross the finish line for the final time, for the final lap. Just 1 lap to go for these 3 riders. Now okay, still a little bit more to go for the 3 leaders. These were almost lap riders in the H4 race coming through the finish line just now. Bosredon, Fritsch and Frühwirt still further down on the back straight, on the home straight, sorry. The 500 meter sign now passed by the 3 leaders in the H4 road race. Thomas Frühwirt at the front, followed by Fritsch, and Bosredon has now made his way past the Austrian, taking the next turn. Just over 1 lap to go. Who of these 3 riders will win the European Para Championships H4 road race? We will know in just a few minutes. Already they are ringing the bell for the final lap for Bosredon, Frühwirt and Fritsch. Crossing the finish line, cheers from the crowd. Bosredon takes another sip, Frühwirt back into the lead, and Fritsch on his wheel. 1 lap to go for these 3 riders. It's the next 5 kilometers that will decide the men's H4 road race. Wilk crossing the finish line here, 4th position, 52 seconds down. Lost another 3 seconds to the leaders. Meanwhile, Alexander Kritsch has made up time on the pole, only 5 seconds down now, fighting for 4th place. A French corner here with the French flag, and across the bridge onto the back straight. We will see if any of these 3 leaders will try to attack here on this back straight, or if it will come down to the last 1.5 kilometers back up to the finish line for the European Championships title in the H4 road race. Still 3 riders together on the final lap. Thomas Frühwirt from Austria at the front. Now Joseph Fritsch coming through, and at the back there Mathieu Bosredon. And in the H5 road race, an attack there from the French Loic Vergniaud, immediately countered by Mitch Valise himself, the world champion, now getting onto the wheel of the Frenchman. An attack here on the back straight. Vergniaud now caught by Valise, a gap behind that. Tim de Vries also chasing. Vergniaud looking around there. Valise also looking around to see how far is the gap to the other riders. Tim de Vries in the middle, and then here passing another rider from the H4 race. Tim de Vries now also on the wheel. The Polish rider Krzysztof Plewa almost making his way up as they cross the finish line. Now 2 laps to go. This attack neutralized from Loic Vergniaud. Mitchell Valise closed the gap on his own. Now 4 riders together and 3 riders, Colombari, Rekers and Costa, only 3 seconds back and now getting back on. Immediately Diego Colombari making his way to the front of the group. He missed that attack and he will not want to be caught out again, the Italian rider. Now Mitch Valise himself with an acceleration. Vergniaud looking behind, trying to close the gap, and Mitch Valise making his move now here through the corners at the northern end of the Willem-Alexander rowing circuit. The gap has opened after the first 3 riders. Luis Costa trying to get past Colombari. We have Mitch Valise, we have Loic Vergniaud from France. And we have Tim de Vries also from the Netherlands. In the front now, only 3 riders with a gap to the next 4. Valise looking around again before the turn. Plewa and Costa from Poland and Portugal trying to close the gap. And now Valise coming off the bridge onto the back straight, another acceleration. Vergniaud is having to work hard to close the gap. He manages to do that with Tim de Vries on his wheel, and now the gap is opening up to Costa and Plewa there, the Pole and the Portugal rider. while Colombari has to pay for his early attacks. Now in 6th position with Johan Rekers, also from the Netherlands, on his wheel. It looks like this is the move. Tim de Vries looking around there. Mitch Valise powering on. Loic Vergniaud in 2nd wheel. We now have a similar situation in both races. Coming to the end, 2 riders from one country in a group of 3. Here we have Mitch Valise and Tim de Vries from the Netherlands, together with Loic Vergniaud. And here in the H4 road race, already on the home straight, Fruwiert from Austria, Thomas Fruwiert, as well as from France, Mathieu Bosredon and Joseph Fritsch. It looks like we will get a sprint for the victory from these 3 riders. There's the 1 kilometer mark. And now Costa and Plewa have made it back to the lead. 5 riders in the lead now, with 1.5 laps to go in the H5 road race. Back in the final kilometer of the H4 road race, Thomas Fruwiert, Mathieu Bosredon and Joseph Fritsch all still together. We can see the 500-meter mark there at the motorcycle. Still pedaling together, but we can see Fruwiert to the left of the 2 French riders. Very hard to predict what will happen here. These riders are almost evenly matched. Joseph Fritsch now into the slipstream of Fruwiert. 500 meters to go. Who will start the sprint for the European Championship title? No real acceleration just yet. Fritsch switching wheels. And now Mathieu Bosredon with the acceleration, taking the front ahead of Thomas Fruwiert. Fritsch maybe trying to go past the Austrian for the silver medal. It looks like Mathieu Bosredon, after his mechanical, will take the European title, and he does. 1 and 2 for France, bronze medal for Austria. Mathieu Bosredon, after a mechanical, came back to the lead group and wins the European Para Championships H4 road race ahead of his compatriot Joseph Fritsch. In the bronze medal place, 3rd place, Thomas Fruwiert from Austria. Great sprint there, great teamwork from the French, great sprint by Bosredon. He shows, yeah, I gave everything.
Congrats, guys.
And handshakes.
I was surprised that it happened that before. That was cool.
Handshakes and already a talk analysis of the race from Fruwiert and Bosredon. Meanwhile, Joseph Fritsch just breathing out there, showing his tongue after a very hard race. In the H5 race, another acceleration, and it is another acceleration by Mitch Valise. Loic Vergniaud getting back on his wheel, but Tim de Vries now dropped by Valise and Vergniaud. The other riders here, Poland's Krzysztof Plewa in 5th position, Luis Costa from Portugal in 4th position, but they do have quite a gap up to the front, where it looks like Tim de Vries is now back with the 2 leaders, Valise and Vergniaud. Luis Costa also slowly making his way back up there, de Vries looking behind. Valise has tested the Frenchman now with 2 accelerations, and as they come up to the finish for the final lap, Luis Costa now also getting back on. I think Mitch Valise feels very comfortable that he can increase the pace at any time he wants and open a gap to the others. Here's the new European champion in the H4 road race, Mathieu Bosredon from France. What a story after having a very wobbly rear wheel on the right side, having to get a wheel change, having to chase back to the front, overcome a 30-second time gap. He sprints to victory ahead of his teammate Joseph Fritsch from France. Bronze medal goes to Thomas Fruviert from Austria. Great race by Mathieu Bosredon. In the H5 race, Mitch Valise back in his customary position at the back of the group. Now we have two Dutch riders, Tim de Vries there looking around for his teammate, two Dutch riders in a group of 5, so the numbers have become a little bit worse for the Dutch. On the other hand, Valise and de Vries only have 3 riders to race against now. Loic Vergniaud with the tube from his water bottle in his mouth, moving to the side there to have a better look. Crossing the finish, 1 lap to go. Here's the bell for the final lap. Christoph Plever leading this group of 5 across the finish. Luis Costa from Portugal, Tim de Vries, Loic Vergniaud and Mitch Valise, the world champion from the Netherlands, in 5th position at the end of the group. No moves from anybody yet here as they go through the corners at the north end of the circuit. Everybody keeping their powder dry for the moment. Krzysztof Plewa from Poland at the front of the group. Tim de Vries in the middle there, behind Luis Costa from Portugal, Loic Vergniaud from France in 4th position. Finally, Mitch Valise, world champion on the road in the time trial, European time trial champion on Friday. He is the big favorite to win this European Championship road race in the H5 category as well. However, he has 4 riders still to beat on this final lap. They are now on the back straight. Valise sitting up again. Vergniaud looking around there. Valise just coasting at the end of the group. And the new European champion, Mathieu Bosredon. Here's a replay of his sprint. He took Fruviert by surprise, and then Joseph Fritsch comes past the Austrian to take 2nd place. Bosredon within the barriers, Fruviert making a gesture there with his right hand, giving up the sprint, and the French celebrating their 1st and 2nd place. Here's the result from the men's H4 paracycling road race. Bosredon winning ahead of Fritsch and Fruviert. Alexander Kritsch from Austria in 4th place. Rafał Wilk from Poland in 5th place. The other riders 1 lap or more down. on the back straight on the final lap of the men's H5 road race. Mitch Waliser still at the back of the group, Krzysztof Plewa from Poland at the front. No changes in position just yet. Will this come down to a sprint on the home straight to the finish, or will any of these riders make a move before that? Three kilometers to go now. Waliser taking another sip out of his bottle, so is Tim de Vries. And here we have them coming into view of the fixed camera at the southern end of the course. Looking at the time gaps, both from the time trial and from the World Championships road race and time trial, for many of these riders it's already a big success just to be in this group with Waliser. And there's a move from Loic Vergniaud. He moves to the front. Waliser reacts. Tim de Vries does so too. Plewa and Costa left behind as the two Dutchmen go after the Frenchman Vergniaud here just before the corner. Small gap. Luis Costa trying to close it again through the turn. Waliser now in third position, sitting up through the turn, starts to pedal again. Vergniaud looking behind. He sees this move has not gotten him anywhere. Slight bump there between Vergniaud and de Vries. However, Krzysztof Plewa from Poland now with the gap back up to the other four. Luis Costa from Portugal coming to the front there on the outside of the turn. Another acceleration by Loic Vergniaud. Tim de Vries on his wheel. Mitch Waliser apparently still very much in control, very relaxed, takes another sip from his bottle. Easily comes past Luis Costa from Portugal here on the bridge, onto the final straight. Just over 1.5 kilometers to go. Krzysztof Plewa still with a gap. It looks like the fight for the victory will be between these four riders. Loic Vergniaud from France, Luis Costa from Portugal, Tim de Vries from the Netherlands, and the world champion also from the Netherlands, Mitch Waliser, in fourth position. Plewa struggling to come back up. He has almost closed the gap now. He's there, taking a bit of a breather in Waliser's wheel. Luis Costa leading out the group now. Vergniaud in second position. Tim de Vries third. Mitch Waliser in fourth position. Here is Luis Costa from Portugal, looking behind, accelerating, getting up to speed. And now Waliser is starting to make his way to the front there. Still in fourth position, Mitch Waliser, Loic Vergniaud in second position, and Luis Costa getting a little bit of a gap there. Reaction by Tim de Vries. Luis Costa from Portugal now with a small gap on the other four riders behind him. Loic Vergniaud from France and Tim de Vries from the Netherlands are closing the gap now. Mitch Waliser still in fourth position. And it looks like Vergniaud and Waliser are moving up now. Luis Costa made his move. It was too early. Loic Vergniaud now in front with Mitch Waliser at his side. Will it be the Frenchman? Mitch Waliser now pulling ahead. Mitch Waliser, the world champion from the Netherlands, now in the front, but Loic Vergniaud comes back. The Frenchman back in front. It is head-to-head between Vergniaud and Waliser, with Tim de Vries in third position. Tim de Vries now coming past Vergniaud. Mitch Waliser pulls ahead, looks behind him. Tim de Vries doesn't give up, of course, or maybe Mitch Walise will let him take this title. It looks like the Dutch had a plan all along. Tim de Vries from the Netherlands winning the European Para Championships in Rotterdam ahead of the world champion Mitch Walise, beating Loïc Vergniaud from France into third place. Great teamwork by the Netherlands there, and Mitch Walise rewarding his teammate Tim de Vries with the European Championship title and the gold medal.